Thanks for tuning in. I'm so excited you're here. This is Mac. She's with Honeybook, and we are going to be sharing, she's going to be sharing a ton of information with us today, talking all about improving client flows with Honeybook. As you may have seen, as I was kind of promoting this class, is that I was with a different client management system for almost a decade, almost 10 years from when I first picked up my camera. And I pivoted everything over to Honeybook earlier this year, and I'm obsessed. I love it so much. It's modern, it's clean. You know, I'm a photographer, and many of you watching might be photographers as well. And I love the way that we can pull in visuals into what we're presenting to our clients, and it's not so, just text. So I'm excited that Mac is here today. She's going to be presenting how we can improve client flows. She's going to be sharing some of the new information about Honeybook's smart files, which is really cool, especially, like I said, for bringing in visuals into, your quotes, proposals, questionnaires, things like that. So whether you are already a user of Honeybook or you're here because you want to learn more, it's going to be a very valuable presentation. So Mac, if you want to go ahead and take it away.
Of course. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here with you guys. As Angie said, we have like a jam-packed agenda, so I'll probably be going through these slides for the next 20 minutes or so, and then I'm hoping to save 10 minutes at the end for questions, which is to say, I want to see you guys in the chat. I want to know where you're tuning in from. Let us know how you're feeling today. If you want to use that same pop-out panel in there to submit questions, you can use the Q&A section and do that. And yeah, so let's dive in. I want to introduce myself, of course. So my name is Mac. I'm part of the product education team here at Honeybook. I've been with the company for 5.5 years. So needless to say, I know the product like the back of my hand, and I'm super excited to introduce you guys to what we've been doing over here. As Angie illuminated too, we have been very busy with some new features this year, so I'm super excited to share those with you. So basically our agenda today, I'm going to be starting super high level, just kind of explaining what the concept of a client flow is, what it means for your business, how you can approach it, and what all that looks like for your business. And then I'm going to leave you guys with 3 questions to kind of assess where you're at in your business, where you're at in your client flows, where there's maybe bottlenecks or room for improvement, and just kind of go through that high level, big picture to kind of assess where you're at with your business. And that'll act as a kind of segue into how you can partner with the Honeybook tools as you go on that journey to streamline and improve your client flows, how those Honeybook tools can really facilitate that journey and guide you through that journey. So we'll be going into a big chunk of time on smart files, as we've been talking about. So I'll explain what they are, what they can do for your business. If you're a Honeybook member, how you can set them up. And then we'll go into the other features that we are connecting into the project management system to give you that full end-to-end client experience. So that is really everything we're going to be talking about. Let's dive in. So what is a client flow? This is just your unique process and your unique client journey, you guys. I was talking to my mom yesterday and she said, "Client what? You're giving a speech on client what?" And I said, okay, it's just the client journey, Mom. It's just the client flow, right? So hopefully by the time you guys leave today's session, you're going to be on the same page with me and we're not going to be confused anymore. Basically, this is just talking about all the steps that your clients take when they're interacting with you, and also all the work on the back end, on the background that you're going to be doing when you're going through that client journey. So the client's perspective and your perspective, how that comes into creating what you've set up for your business processes. It's your system for communicating or engaging with your clients from end to end, okay? So this is not talking about reinventing the wheel. If you're feeling a feeling of dread, like I'm going to give you a bunch of homework, don't worry about it. That's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about reinventing the wheel. More so, we're talking about how can you illuminate or shed light on your existing process so you can notice where you can fine tune, you can perfect it, and really become the master of your process. Okay, that's what we're talking about here, is being able to be so confident and so self-assured in your own process that you're really getting in a space of like inviting your clients into this process with you. Okay, so there are some typical steps that are included in a client flow. Obviously, every business is different, every vertical is different, so everyone's going to have a little bit of a different approach here. But the typical kind of steps when you're assessing a client flow are going to be mutual qualification. So, this is that initial inquiry process where you and the client are trying to feel out if you're a good fit for each other, right? You're trying to understand the client's needs, they're trying to understand what you offer, what your price point is, and eventually hopefully meet somewhere in the middle when you can move into the booking process. Booking process is when you're officially shaking hands, you're going into business together, you're going to get a contract signed maybe, you're going to have payment submitted, and now there's a little bit more skin in the game, and you guys are going to go into the official booking process. That takes us into project management. So this is all of the back and forth. This is really when you start to get more hands-on and you're actually executing on what it is your client hired you for, and then finally completing the work. Okay, so all of these kind of puzzle pieces come together in your client flow to create the process by which you're communicating with them, right? So this whole thing comes together and leaves your client with a feeling. So that's like the client relationship, the feeling that you're leaving them with. This whole client flow, kind of bottles up and comes up to the surface to embody your client relationships and what they mean, the feeling that you're leaving your clients with. Okay, so now to move into 3 questions I want you guys to ask yourselves to kind of assess where you're at with your business today. These are some heavy hitters, okay? So I want you guys to, before we go in too much detail on them, I want you to know that you're not doing anything wrong. What you're doing today works. You can have confidence in that. And I don't want to be pointing out something that brings a negative feeling or anything like that. What I'm trying to do here in asking these questions is to point out that maybe there's too much to do as a business owner, right? And you can have a system that serves you so that you can go and serve your clients. So you're not all caught up, all muddled up in the operations, the day-to-day junk that you didn't even get into business for, right? Like, how can we shift our gaze so we're less focused on that stuff? That's kind of working like a well-oiled machine, and our focus is out here on our clients, on that journey. So first and foremost, let's talk about where things might be slipping through the cracks. Okay, so this is when you're feeling maybe overwhelmed, you're feeling a little scattered, you've got a little bit of dread in the back of your mind, like, ooh, am I forgetting something? Like, any of those feelings in your business are an indicator that things are slipping through. And again, this is not to say you're doing something wrong. This is just an indicator that the system you have in place is no longer serving you and you need to change something. Okay, so another example of this obviously is messages or inquiries, waiting hours, even days to get a response from you. We're living in this instant gratification era. So how do we show up for our clients the moment they need us, proactively getting them information? What does that look like for your business, and how do you execute on that? Okay, so that's the first question I want to ask of you guys. The next question I want to go through here is, where are you currently involved in your process, but maybe you don't need to be? Okay, so again, I told you guys these are some heavy hitters, right? Like, where can you afford to put some slack in the line? Where can you afford to step out of the process a little bit so you're not so individually, uniquely involved with every single piece of your client interactions? Like, how can you step back a little bit again and let your system work for you? So one example of this is in scheduling. This is like a super easy one. If you're someone who's not using a scheduling tool today, that is a part of your process that I want you to step away from. I want you to step away today. I want you to go get a scheduling tool today if you're not doing that, because that back and forth email ping pong is yesterday's version of our story. We're not doing that anymore. You need to be showcasing your availability to your clients so they can just go in and choose the time that works for them. Okay, let's remove those minutes, hours, a month, year that we're putting into all of those conversations around scheduling. Let's get rid of that right away. Another area where I think people can afford typically to step back a little bit is the inquiry process. And I know this is tricky too, because when someone's initially inquiring, you want to show up, you want to show face, you want to hang out, you want to introduce yourself, you want to sell your brand, sell your experience, and show up really personally. So you can show up personally. I want to encourage you guys all to think about this. You can show up personally in your business without it having to be unique every single time. Okay. So, what I mean by this is using really personalized, really branded, really tailored templates that put your message forward, that put your brand forward, that have a video of you welcoming the client, that do show face, that do all of those things that can maybe send automatically, or that just have it already tailored and ready to go. So all you have to do is hit send, and you're not uniquely sitting down typing a response every single time. Because let me tell you, when you're uniquely sitting down every single time to reply to those people, they're probably not getting the best version of you either, because it's not a consistent process. Some days you might be stressed. Some days you might be sick. Sometimes the kids are running in the background. You're playing nurse. They're waiting for days. You're stressed out. So it's not a consistent process. You want every client to go through the same process with you, so that when they go forward or they're referring a friend or something, they're confident that you have the same experience for everyone. Plus, it makes your life easier. Forget the clients. It makes your life easier when you have a really predictable, consistent process and you're able to show up that way in your business. Okay, I could probably spend a whole hour talking about this subject alone, so I'm going to move on. The next question I want you guys to ask yourself is, how effortless is your booking process? So the best way that I can encourage you guys to do this is to kind of sit on the receiving end, sit on the other side of your client's laptop, or you're meeting with them, or whatever it looks like, and sit in the booking process. And I want to also encourage you guys to acknowledge the fact that the booking process does not start when they open the invoice from you. The booking process starts when the client gets the idea in their head that they're ready to pay you. The client already knows they're going to book you. So that could happen at any point in your client journey. So how accessible are you making that to them? Because if I'm inquiring on your website and I already know, maybe I want to have an initial meeting, or maybe I just want to see your prices. But for the most part, like, I already know you're the person for the job. Like, I already have it in my head that that's what's going to happen. So how long am I going to have to wait until I just hand over my money? Because I'm already ready to do it, right? So we want to talk about this. Like, I know I hate to bring up big bad Amazon, but like, that's the world we're living in. So how do we make sure that our business is matching up to that level of expectation? That is their client experience on the user end. They are checking out mindlessly all the time online. So how do you get your business up to speed with that and actually make your booking process a relatively forgettable part of the client journey, right? You don't want them to remember paying the invoice. You want them to remember the experience, how they feel, the end result, your pictures, whatever it might be. You want them to be able to see the story, feel the story, all of that stuff. So that's where we want to focus our energy again, shift our gaze away from the operations and shift our gaze towards our work, what we love doing, and those client interactions. Okay, those are your homework little thought experiment ideas, but how does Honeybook help? So if you're not familiar with Honeybook already, it is a business management software for independent, I always slip on that word, independent business owners, just like yourselves. So we help you manage everything from very first client inquiry all the way through booking and all of the communication that goes on in between. So this is just to say that Honeybook will automatically solve for a lot of these problems just by nature. The 3 questions we're asking about, a lot of them will kind of bubble up to the surface and be illuminated just by nature of having a tool that organizes you in this manner. Okay, the rest is up to you to decide though. Anytime you have access to systems and tools, you can do the bare minimum, or you can let it, completely knock it out of the park and start utilizing every tool. So this is also just to say that the system is flexible and customizable. So it is going to be dependent on how much you invest, how well you know your business, how well you know your process. It's really only going to be as bulletproof as your process is, which is why I'm starting with all these big picture questions, because I want to encourage you guys to live in that zone of genius and have confidence in your process. So when you come to a program like Honeybook, you can take confidence in saying, I know my process, I know how I work, and I'm going to tell the system how I want it to work for me. Because that's really what we do at Honeybook. I'm like, spoiler alert, that's what we're all about, is putting you guys in control so you get to say how your business operates, not the other way around. We're not a system that's going to pigeonhole you into some specific thing and that's the way it works. We want you to ultimately have autonomy to be able to tell a system like this how the tools are going to come together to build your unique client flow. Okay, so you're going to have immediate visibility when you're using a tool like Honeybook, and that's going to help. It's going to showcase where some of those bottlenecks, speed bumps, hiccups are coming with your client journey. You're going to be able to see if someone's stuck in the inquiry stage for 5 days or a bunch of people are stuck there, and you'll be able to see where those areas are getting sticky. So that's where you can choose to invest your time. So again, by nature, no legwork necessary. Those things are going to happen right away. And then it'll be up to you to determine what to do about it, how to maybe set expectations with your clients a little bit better so that they know what's coming, or how to invest in your sales process or invest in your booking process. If you notice everyone's getting sticker shock or getting stuck at that point, maybe you know to set up a call with them to walk them through the invoice and ask if they have any questions. So it's really giving you that visibility again, so you're not frazzled and not knowing what's going on, but you have access to that information in a way your Gmail or any other tool you're using probably isn't giving you. Okay. And there are a ton of tools that we have to help you get there. We've got scheduling, we've got invoicing, contracts, automations. So the newest, latest, and greatest, I've been hyping this up already, is smart files. So what does this even mean? What are smart files? Well, in yesterday's world, your process, as I've been saying, was relatively defined by these kind of rigid, predefined structures or functions and formats. So from a design perspective and from a function perspective, your process was beholden to whatever tools you had access to. Even Honeybook was guilty of this, right? If you guys out there are Honeybook members, you know that the legacy files could do maybe 1 or 2 things at a max. There was no real flexibility, especially around design. Everything was a little bit more rigid. So now with smart files, you can do everything that you could do in traditional files. So we're talking about invoicing, contracts, questions, video, all kinds of stuff. We'll go into more features in a second, but it's going to allow one document to contain all of that, all of those actions, and all of that content all in one. So again, you define what your process looks like. So if a file simply needs to be an invoice file, that's what it is. It's just defined by what you build it to do. So it could be as simple as an invoice, or it could be a completely hands-off booking flow that includes service selection, the ability for them to check out right then and there, and the ability to go through your onboarding survey that you send to people who have just booked. It can have one document that does all of that. Okay. So again, if you are a Honeybook member already and you're wondering what the difference between how things used to be and the difference now, I highly recommend checking out this article in our help center. I know I am a super visual person, so it really helps me to see all these little check boxes so I can see how Smart Files has all these green check boxes. So again, from a design and functionality perspective, this is really going to be helping you kind of get a grip on what has changed here. So if you want to, you can just hop over to the Help Center and type in legacy files versus smart files, and it'll show you this whole list of options. Okay, we've been talking pretty high level. So what can these files actually do? So when we're going through this list, this is essentially what it looks like when you're in the new builder, when you're going to build out a file. You have, it's a visual builder. So if you're familiar with like Squarespace or any of those other tools, it's going to be walking you through adding blocks of content, adding pages of content, and then you get to decide what each file contains. So in a single block, you could have text, questions. So questions, this is like for any forms, collecting any information from clients at any stage in the process. So this could be initial inquiry, this could be feedback on designs, this could be qualifying your leads, getting feedback after you're offboarding them. It could be anything like that. Okay, obviously images. I know Angie was talking a ton about this. As photographers, this is massive. You can essentially turn some pages or multiple pages into a portfolio or a version of showcasing galleries or whatever you'd like to do there. It's a great way to really showcase your work. We also have video. This is a fabulous way to put a personal touch into your process, again, without it having to be unique. Your services aren't changing, client to client. What you offer to them is a set of options, right? So maybe using video to introduce them to those options or introduce them to what it's like to work with you or welcome them or thank them for inquiring. So using video, I think, is a really big one here. You can welcome clients, you can explain your services, you could show other happy clients, other client testimonials. You could even show you kind of in your element how you work and what it's like to be in business with you. Okay. Invoicing, obviously straightforward here, collection of payment. Service selection, I've been teasing to this a little bit. This is basically dynamic pricing guides. So your clients can actually go through and check the boxes of the services they're interested in moving forward with. I've already teased to this, but if you include that block with an invoice block, you've created a hands-off booking flow for your clients. One page would be gated by the other. That means they can't move on to payment until they've had a service selection. So we're really talking about streamlining your bookings when we're talking about having the ability to pay after reviewing a pricing guide. Game changer. Contracts, of course, you could have multiple contracts in a document. I know a lot of photographers have where you basically get approval from the clients to use their images and you have your business contract and maybe there's something else in there. So now you could have one file that conveys all of that information. You're collecting 3 different signatures on 3 different pages, another game changer. So I want to hop into our template gallery just to give you guys a little bit better of like a visual representation of what we're talking about here. So you can see how all these tools come together. So with these new tools, with these smart files, which you can just think about them as files, right? There's a single client interaction that you're sending to them. With them, you can build everything you already know and love. So we're talking brochures, contracts, invoices, proposals, questionnaires, all the same stuff. What I want to encourage you guys again to think through is files and, right? So what you're already doing and ... whatever else you need to get done. So in a single client interaction, where can you maybe combine some steps, add some information, even adding a thank you page after payment? This is the level of flexibility we're talking about. Okay, so if you take things a step further, let's look at some examples in the template gallery. So things you could consider building are hands-off booking documents, which I've already alluded to, proofing documents and sign-off documents, onboarding files that are super dynamic with video, questions, anything else you need them to do. I know I saw some questions in the chat around scheduling. Scheduling is not currently embeddable, or that's not true. It is hyperlinkable, so kind of embeddable into the smart files, but we are building like a native integration and hope to release that soon. Fingers crossed, actively working on it. And then that way they wouldn't have to leave the file to book time with you. Otherwise, what you can do is set up a text that just says schedule here and attach the hyperlink to your Honeybook scheduler. So in that same file, your client has access to it. We can do design and mood boards here, testimonial requests. There's so much that can be done. So you really want to open your mind to the experience that you can give your clients with the new design and function of these files, because that's really what it comes down to. That's really what's going to set you apart and kind of change the way you're doing business, really streamline things for you. Okay, so again, this is just a little glimpse into the template gallery. If you are a Honeybook member here today, this is a great place to start for inspiration. Okay, and I want to encourage you all, you can source inspiration from a process perspective this way. So go here and see what other steps people have combined, what other files look like, and how that's working for other brands, other businesses. Or from a design perspective, what does the layout look like? What do the colors look like? How is it all fitting together to make a nice, cohesive document? So from design and function perspective, I would definitely recommend checking out the template gallery. All you have to do to add your branding, it's one-click access to adding your branding. You just set your company theme in your company settings, and you click one button and it swipes right over and adds all of your branding to the documents. Of course, you'll still need to replace some text and images to sound like you and have your little headshot and all that good stuff, but there is one click of adding your company theme to documents. Obviously, file sharing has been something I've been talking about for a really long time. So this is a huge part of what we do here. But it's this feature hand in hand with all of our other project management tools that really help you get into that zone of genius and start to master your process like we've been talking about. So let's go into some of those, okay? So first off, we've got lead capture functionality. So this is where we're talking about having this contact form replace whatever contact form you have on your website, or having this as your link in bio, on your link tree, wherever you get your inquiries from. This form will be your catch-all solution for funneling your leads into Honeybook. So anyone who fills out that form will automatically have their information added into Honeybook. And this is where you have automatic job tracking. So this is showing you everyone in your process, everyone you're working with, and what stage they fall into in the process with you. So right from the get-go, this is by nature solving for some of those visibility gaps that you might have in your business. And this is illuminating where you can afford to improve your process a little bit, where people are getting stuck, where people are slowing down in the process. So really giving you visibility in a way you never have before, super organized bird's eye view, plus it's going to automatically track these stages for you. So from very first inquiry, it'll track once you followed up with them. It'll track once you've sent a contract, once that contract has been signed, once payment has been submitted. It's going to help you automatically track all of that based off of your and the client's behavior. So again, no legwork on your side, and you're already getting all these insights. Okay, scheduling, we already talked about this a little bit. It's basically just going to showcase your availability to your clients so they can choose the time that works best for them. It really speaks to that second point of eliminating yourself from the parts of your process where you do not need to be involved. Automations is another huge piece here of stepping away from your process a little bit. I know it's hard. I know the big piece of pushback around automations is you don't want your clients to think that a robot's replying to them or have it be, this electronic thing. We don't live in that era of automations anymore. These are personalized client interactions that are just set on a triggered basis depending on the client's behavior. So in your process, you like to send them a questionnaire and a thank you email once they've submitted payment to you. Great, you can set that up. However you have your process is really getting that zone of mastering your process and fine-tuning it, because then you start to kind of export or offboard some of that work to the Honeybook tool and the Honeybook automations system. Okay, last piece here, and then we'll get into some questions. This is a glimpse into a Honeybook project. So this is just generally helping you stay super organized when it comes to your client communications. So this is going to show you the contact form they submitted, all of your emails back and forth, all the files you've exchanged, all of the payments they've sent, contracts they've signed, everything in one central hub. So you have one location, one source of truth for dealing with this specific client. Okay, so really, again, giving you that one source of truth and that one place you can go. So what's the big picture here? If there's one thing I want you to want you guys to leave knowing today is that Honeybook gives you autonomy and it gives you the power of choice. So that can feel a little scary sometimes. That might feel scary. Having too much choice can feel daunting or overwhelming. But I want to encourage you guys that having that autonomy and having that choice in your business and being able to be confident in your process and tell a system like this how you work is actually really freeing and will give you the ability to leave that really lasting impression with your clients. So this is allowing you to combine steps where you need to, but also hold space in others. So if you know you like to be involved here, you know you want your process to work like this, but you really want to have that personal touch point here where you meet with them and you do show face or whatever you need to do, you get to be confident in that process and you get to tell the system exactly what you need it to do. So you're only involved at precisely and exactly the moments you need to be, and no less and no more. So that just ultimately means more time back, right? So that's the trip to Italy you've been meaning to take. That's time with the kids in the summer. That is, maybe you just start working seasonally. Maybe 3 months out of the year you take off to travel with your family. Okay, this is the zone that we're talking about. We're talking about getting back to more of what you love, whether that means investing in your business and growing, or just having more time to actually step away from the business and reset a little bit. Okay, that was really everything I had planned. I thank you guys so much.
Yay! Thank you so much. This was so helpful, and we have a ton of good questions.
Great.
This was so helpful, and I did want to say, someone asked about like the type of business owners that use Honeybook, because we did mention photographers, but literally, if you have clients, you could greatly benefit from using Honeybook. I myself personally have been on the client side for people I have hired that have used Honeybook. So web designers, graphic designers, virtual assistants, hairstylists, makeup artists. There's literally, if you have like a wedding planner here, event planner,
Yep.
if you have clients and you need to send contracts and proposals and invoices and questionnaires, no matter what industry you're in, Honeybook is going to be a game changer for your business. So I'm going to just pull up a couple of questions here. Let me hop over to the Q&A. Let's see. Cash said, it wasn't really a question, but Cash said, I've never used anything like Honeybook, feeling kind of awkward. And I feel like Honeybook and having this client management system takes away the awkwardness when you're running your business, because you're not so much in your emails going back and forth. You're having so many things automated for you.
Right.
And I was kind of taking notes during your presentation, and really, time is money. Time is money. And when you can automate in your business, you are saving yourself time.
Yeah.
And I like to say, the less you work, the more you make. So if you're spending less time emailing back and forth saying, okay, can you do Tuesday at 4 p.m.? How about 6 p.m.? If you're able to send them your schedule and say, here, pick a date on my calendar, that is saving you so much time, and you're making more money because you're not spending as much time in your business. Okay, so next question is, we got a couple of these questions, so I'll bundle them into one.
Okay.
When will Honeybook be available internationally? Is that something you all are working on?
Dream. What a dream. I know. Yeah. I don't have a timeline for you guys. At the moment, it's just US and Canada.
Yeah. Totally understand. Totally. I had people asking you about like Europe and South Africa. I was like, well, let me just bundle it up right there.
Yeah.
Okay. Another question. Is it possible to use Honeybook without the payment process part? So I'm assuming people who might not be charging it, but they still want to use the platform.
Yeah, I think I get this question a lot when people have like some kind of deal or with their external processor, like they're using PayPal and they really like their money just to go straight in their PayPal account, kind of like a Venmo deal or something like that. And I also have people who are just kind of fearful of taking on processing fees when I get this question. So I would say, yes, of course, you can use the tool again, right? Like the tools are there, they're flexible, customizable, how you need them. Essentially, what that would look like is just ignoring the invoice feature. So you would just never add that in. I'm always going to argue that if you're paying for a tool, you'll want to use the full set of features. We have automatic payment reminders. We integrate with QuickBooks Online. We give you projected revenue for the year. There's so many tools in there that are just that full end-to-end business management option. And if you ignored the invoicing tool, I would just feel like you were missing out on one of the core features. So I would
Yeah.
never advise that you do that. But of
Right.
course, you're more than welcome to ignore whatever tools you want.
Okay, cool. Yeah. The payment feature is like, it's a must have. If you're gonna invest in Honeybook, invest in your business, highly recommend using the payment feature.
Yeah.
Just a quick shout out. I see a couple people in the chat saying that the Honeybook support team is awesome. So shout out to the support team. They always get back to me so quickly in the chat. I feel like they're just sitting there waiting for me to chat with them.
Good.
Okay, another question. Let me scroll up. Ooh, lots of questions coming in. Okay. Katie says, when are you launching scheduling plus payment? So for example, if someone's hosting mini sessions, is it in the queue to have payment associated with scheduling?
Absolutely. So, because you guys are like my exclusive audience here, I'll let you in on a little tidbit of information. We were planning on like having this ability when we initially came out with Smart Files.
Mm-hmm.
But because there are so many nuances behind payment and scheduling and all of that, it is still work in progress at the moment. But yes, absolutely on our radar, something we're actively working on. So keep your eyes out. I hope we make a big, fabulous announcement. And if the rest of the company doesn't do it, I'm already going to host a webinar on it. So I'll see you there.
Right. Awesome. Okay. Next question from Patricia. What is the difference between a proposal and an invoice? Because on the proposal, clients can pay too.
Yeah, so that's kind of in the legacy file world. So we don't need to focus too much on those definitions because files are now defined by what you tell them to do. But just to kind of simplify and define it, invoices were just that kind of list of services the client is receiving, the payment plan, and the ability for them to pay. The old proposal file in Honeybook had all of that plus a contract page.
Mm-hmm.
So now with Smart Files, it would just be called a booking file and it would have a contract and invoice.
Okay.
Or it could just be an invoice file. It just depends on what you build.
Okay, great. Next question. Does Honeybook have a landing page building option?
Not so much. However, the contact form that I talked about would be kind of the best version of that. That's our like publicly facing link that you can put out there so that people can inquire, and that can have content on it as well. So it's a best practice to kind of have the form be able to be filled out by the clients, but also put a little bit of information in there on what they can expect after they submit the form, or have a little picture and get to know you. And in that way, you could probably build some version of a landing page. You can also have multiple contact forms.
Yeah.
So you could have one for kind of your typical use case and then one for selling a course or whatever you want to do.
Okay. Got it. Okay. Patricia says, usually the old invoices allow the client the option of a tip. Is that option available with Smart Files?
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Gratuity is still something that you're in control of, either toggling on or off for your clients to choose from.
Great. Okay. Awesome. Fina says, I would love to see a live demo of all of the features mentioned. Is there a hub that people can go and see?
Oh my gosh, yes. So yeah, this session is more for like big picture, broad, like want to speak to everyone, right? So I'm just going to pop in the chat right now. We have been doing a webinar series over on the Honeybook side for our Honeybook members, where I'm going into hour-long deep dives around these features and tools. We've already done 3. I just did one this morning. We have 2 more coming up at the end of September. So definitely check out that page. All the recordings for the past ones are there as well.
Okay, got it. Okay, you guys check out the chat. You'll see the link there. Okay, a couple more questions. Let me see.
Angie, I want to throw your pop-up out there too for folks.
Oh, yeah.
If you have not had the chance to join yet, join with Angie's code there. She's got 50% off with us for your first year, which is amazing.
That is a huge deal. Like if y'all are interested, click the link. You can start with a free trial, right? They can start with a free trial.
7 days.
Yeah. And if you decide to, invest in it. This link that Mac put here is 50% off your first year. So definitely check it out, poke around in there, see everything that she's talking about, start building things, putting your branding, elements in there, and test it out if you haven't already. Thank you for
Yeah,
sharing
I
that.
want to encourage you guys too. When you purchase membership, we actually have complimentary accounts set up. So any files that you already use, you can just send to us and we'll actually build them in as smart files. Plus, we have a 60-day money back guarantee. So pretty low risk with the discount and all those other things.
Yeah. Awesome. That, like I said, y'all are just gushing over the Honeybook support team. Like, they're amazing. The fact that you can bring them your, contracts and things like that, and like, please help me. And they're just like, let's do it. I love it. Okay. Crystal says, can you use Honeybook with Pixie Set? So Pixie Set is an gallery delivery service. Do you have any type of like collaborations with any other platforms like Pixie Set or Shootproof or things like that?
So there's no like native integration.
Yeah.
The way that I've seen photographers use it is they'll just kind of like link out, like use a hyperlink function to send clients out to the gallery.
Right.
So you can always do that. And then that way the conversation still stays in Honeybook and keeps that log, but you're sending them out to where the gallery is hosted.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay, let me see any more questions. Ooh, Dawn says, hey, Dawn. Dawn says, can you run 2 brands on the one Honeybook account?
You can, yes. We have multi-brand functionality. It does not cost anything extra. It's just all in one.
That's awesome, because I know quite a few people who have like different brands under like one umbrella, and they want things to look differently as far as templates, their branding. So that is awesome. Great question. All right, let's see a couple more questions. I had a question about accounting. Someone was asking if when they're with Honeybook, should they get rid of their other accounting platforms? So can you talk just a little bit about the extent of accounting with Honeybook?
Yeah, absolutely. So, in terms of tracking expenses, it's going to be a relatively manual process. So, I always say if you're a business that doesn't carry much overhead, like you don't have a lot of, consistent supplies or things that you're buying or, things you would need to expense to a client or something like that, if you're just pretty, low level in terms of the overhead you're carrying, then it will probably work for you, because the kind of one-off expenses you have, you can just manually enter them in, and then we'll project profit and loss and do all of that for you right in the system based off the revenue. If you do have a little bit more overhead and you want a system that is automatically going to connect to your card and track your payments that are coming, or your charges basically that are coming through there, which I think is pretty typical for accounting softwares, I would just recommend getting QuickBooks Online. That is the one accounting tool that we do integrate with. So that way your revenue and client relationships will stay in Honeybook. And then in QuickBooks Online, you can have that kind of automated expense tracking, and those two tools will work really nicely together.
Awesome. I love that integration. That's awesome. Okay, let's see more in the chat. Oh, you know what? I saw a comment come through in the chat that wasn't in the Q&A that I wanted to pin. Let me see. Someone was asking about when Smart Files will be available for everyone. Is it still in the beta stage right now?
It's available for everyone. You just need to opt in. So when you go into your Honeybook account, you'll see just on the homepage, there's like a little banner and it says like exciting things are here, and you click opt in.
Okay, perfect. So everyone has access to it. So if you haven't,
and I think I have
that.
Yeah, I have a button for it, or a link for it. Let me pop that in the chat. So if you're
Perfect.
logged in your Honeybook account right now and you click this link I just put in the chat, it should take you through the opt-in.
Oh, thank you.
flow.
That's great. Thank you. All right. So let's see. Is it hard to use the calendar function? Someone said, I use another platform and it's so time consuming.
I don't think so. I think it's pretty straightforward. I think scheduling by nature can be a little tricky because you have to balance like the timing that you want and when it's going to show to clients, but It just connects to your existing calendar and it'll pull in your availability based off the appointments you already have in there. It connects to
Yeah.
Gmail, so your GCal appointments will all be in there. And then
Right.
you also get to set your additional parameters. So I don't think it's too tricky.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay, let's see. Y'all are coming in with the great questions. I love it.
I know.
What about, Tosh says, what about discount codes? Is there an option to allow clients to use a special code that we can create?
I love this question. I get it a lot. There's no way to do it currently on
Okay.
the business end. It's just something that you need to put in. So manually, you would be putting in the percent or dollar amount that is discounted for the client. There's no
Okay.
like checkout code option.
Got it. Got it. I've definitely used, made a little discount in, a proposal, an invoice. Okay, let's see. Callie says, I personally liked the invoicing tool. It takes out the similar amount as PayPal or Acuity does. Haley says, I can't wait to ditch use session. I think that's what the people use for like mini sessions, like the online
Okay.
scheduling. I think when you were talking about this rolling out. Okay, let's see. Kristen says, just received a deposit payment 30 seconds ago. Awesome. I think that might. Does Honeybook have different templates for emails? Like, would we be able to customize our emails and add a header, image plus signature?
You can definitely add a signature. It is a little bit rigid for now, like the formatting of that, but obviously we're moving into a space of more flexibility with these smart files. So we definitely are working on improving that as well. There's no header image. The kind of formatting of the emails is still a little bit static, I would say, but you can absolutely set up email templates to make sure that your language and the content that you're communicating to your clients says what you need it to say. So it's really easy to plug and play and pull in those different messaging components as you're going through with your clients for sure.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And someone was asking if Honeybook has contracts
Yeah.
within Honeybook that you can use.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So anytime you start your trial, so if you start your trial with Angie's code today, you would go in there and you would have multiple contract templates that are in there. They're relatively general. We do put some in. So if you're a photographer and you choose photographer as your industry type when you're creating your trial, we will pull in some photography contracts for you.
Cool. Cool. Patricia says, can she explain again how to link the contact us page on your website?
Yeah, it's pretty complicated just because it's like copying a bit of code and going
Embed
into the back
code.
end of your website and adding it in. There's really in-depth instructions in our help center.
Perfect.
So anytime you're in your Honeybook account, you can click the little question mark in the bottom right-hand corner, pop into the help center and just type in the keyword. So I would just type in contact form.
Mm-hmm.
I know all of those articles are also linked in the pop-up when you click embed. It'll
Mm-hmm.
pop up a window and show your code and it'll say like need help and then it gives all the different website hosts that we embed with and you can choose the specific one and read the specific instructions.
Perfect. Perfect. Kristen says that she loves the cha-ching sound when
Oh,
you get paid. Let me tell you, I love that. I love the notifications. First of all, can we just talk about the app? Okay. Like the app is fire. I love having the Honeybook app on my phone. I love that it sends me little notifications with like emojis, like the little side eyes, like, oh, Jessica just looked at your proposal or signed your contract. And then it's like cha-ching when you get paid. That is a nice little perk.
I love it. No, that's like such a perfect segue too, though, because like I truly just scratched the surface today, you guys. Like I'm
Yeah.
going over some high level features, but there's so much more available in there. It's definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, definitely. Patricia said, it's my favorite email, cha-ching.
Yes.
Okay. I think that's all of the questions we
Cool.
had.
Great.
Thank you so much. This was so awesome. And
Of
just
course.
a reminder to everyone, the link that she's provided, and I'll send this out in a replay too. If you had to come on late or you want to share with someone, it's 50% off of your first year. And of course, you can start with a free trial, poke around, check out all the help articles, the help videos. Contact the support team if you need help. They are here to support you.
Yep. Awesome. Thank you so much, Angie. I appreciate you all. This has been so much fun. I was so glad to be here. So thank
Yeah.
you.
Thanks, y'all. I'll talk to you guys soon.
Talk to you soon.